Welcome to this week's Sunday market recap. I'll take you through my complete top-down analysis, identify high probability trade locations, and explain the conditions that will confirm a valid break and retest entry. Okay, so this week will be a different week. Okay, in the sense that I'll be starting off with crypto and gold. So although before now I've been analyzing these two pairs whenever I do my weekly analysis. Okay, so this week I decided to just add them here. I normally analyze it, but I don't take the trade. I'll just analyze it and just keep it, you understand? So I'll be starting with BTC. Okay, so on the monthly time frame, you can see the monthly time frame is a very clean structure. You can see, okay, so this is the lower low and this is the lower high. Okay, and you can see here price have respected this zone here in the past. Okay, and the lower low leg is there, so I'm still anticipating more push to the upside to give a to break this zone to create a new lower low. Okay, and if that happens, then BTC is likely to continue the bearish momentum it has been. Okay, so if we go down to the weekly time frame, you see that the weekly time frame is also bearish. Okay, this is the lower low. Let me make it like this is the lower low, and this is the lower high. So price have retraced back to this zone to create a new lower low. So price rejected here, so I'm looking for a week. I'm looking now for a week, this weekly candle. Once this weekly candle close, next week candle, we have a week retest here before we just have a quick sell to the downside. Okay, so because if you notice, whenever we approach this zone, we serve as support here, we serve as resistance. Okay, we serve as resistance also here, then support here. So, and price is likely to repeat what it have done here on this zone in the past, and I'll be taking my profit here. Okay, so if we go down to the daily time frame, the daily time frame also is bearish. Okay, daily time frame is also bearish. So let me remove this now. So daily time frame is also bearish. Okay, so and we've seen this reversal pattern, which is my favorite reversal pattern, multiple times in the past, which is the left head, more like double right shoulder. So now we have the break of the neckline of the head and shoulder. So now what I'm anticipating for more push to the upside to give rejection before I'll be interested in taking the trade down. Okay, so very simple analysis, gets no stress. Also the 4 hour is bullish right now. The 4 hour is bullish right now, so which is normal, because for the daily time frame to have that pullback to this place now, to this zone, the 4 hour will now be bullish. Okay, which is also doesn't really matter if the structure is bullish, because the weekly, more like the monthly, weekly and daily time frame are all bearish. Okay, so that is my bias on BTC for next week. Okay, so moving on to XAUSD, which is gold. So gold doesn't really have a clean structure, so maybe probably within the week it will have a good structure that I'll be interested in taking the trade. Although I don't take it, just normal analysis I do, just to be in sync with the two pairs. Okay, so if you go down to the weekly time frame, you see that the weekly time frame is bearish. Weekly time frame is bearish. This is the lower low. Okay, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. So price have retraced back to this zone here. So on the weekly time frame, it's not that clear on the weekly time frame, but if we go down to the daily time frame, you see that it's very, very clear. That structure, that zone is very, very clear. This is the same box on the weekly time frame. So you see right now on the daily time frame is more like a very, very strong zone. Okay, whenever we are up, whenever above, price come down, more reject it, you take it to the upside. Okay, so more like support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance. So recently it have respected it multiple times in the past. You get, so and you can see the structure here is bullish. This is the higher high and this is the higher low. Okay, and you see the weekly is already bearish and we already have a doji candle. You get, last week candle created a doji candle, so I'm anticipating this week candle to just continue the feel of that to create a new lower low. Okay, so if that want to happen now, for me to be interested in the trade, this daily time frame have to turn bearish. I can't enter here because price can still go up. This is gold, price can violate here and continue going up. You get, so the only thing that will make me be interested in this market is when we have a break of this zone. You get, we have a break, then we have more like a doji. We have a doji candle here. Okay, we have a doji candle here, then maybe the next candle we have the push, then we will have a doji more here again, which is unlikely to happen and it still can happen. We have a doji here like this on this zone, then the next day we'll now have the fill to continue the trade. So that's the only thing that will make me to be interested in this trade. If we have the break, the retest, you have the break, the retest and rejection here, you'll be able to take the trade to the downside. Okay, so that is my bias. Also, if you check the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frame is bearish, which is also setting up which is also indicating that the daily time frame will have that bearish momentum. Okay, so if the 4-hour should break retest here, I'll be interested in taking here. So any trade taken inside here is more like consolidating. You get, it's more like consolidating. So this week gold is not that clear. Okay, the market structure is not that clear. So within the week it might be clear. So once it creates a good structure. Okay, so that is that on my BTC and gold. So let's jump into business. So the first forex pair is AUD-NZD. So AUD-NZD on the weekly time frame, you can see the weekly time frame is bearish on the weekly time frame. This is the lower low. You get, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. Okay, so if we go down to the daily time frame, so this was last week trade which I missed. From here to this place I missed. So what I'm looking out for now, I'm waiting for the break You get, so I'm waiting for the break of this zone. You break of this zone, the retest of this zone, then we'll take the trade to the downside. Because this zone will serve as resistance here, resistance here, support here, support here. So if we should break, have a more push to the downside, then we now have the retest of this zone, then I'll be interested in taking the trade to the downside. And all time frame are heading down. You get weekly bearish, daily bearish. You see 4 hours also is bearish, so this 4 hours should come down here, pull back, reject this zone. So I'll be interested in taking the trade to the downside. Okay, so the next pair on the list is Euro AUD. So Euro AUD on the weekly time frame, consider the weekly time frame is bullish on the weekly time frame, clearly bullish on the weekly time frame. So this is how I mark my zone. This is the lower high, this is the lower low. Okay, so this pullback created a lower high, and this one now became the lower low. So immediately this bullish candle body close above this zone, so we now became bullish. Okay, so we now have the retest of this zone, and last week candle created an engulfing candle. Okay, so I'm waiting for the pullback. Once this week candle opens, you pull back to this place, reject this zone, then I'll be able to take the trade to the upside. Okay, so if we go down to the daily time frame, that is where you will see the structure very clear. Okay, so this is the daily time frame is also bullish. You see, this is the higher high and this is the higher low. So we have two areas of interest. So this first one, last week on Friday, price wicked into it and closed above this zone, also above this round psychological level, 164,000. You get, so because this zone is also a very strong zone, if you check to the left hand side, you see whenever we are under, we serve as what? We serve as resistance. If you also move to the left hand side, we serve as support. So it's a very strong zone. Okay, so now price have stopped there, give a doji candle. So but on the 4-hour time frame also, my Wi-Fi is slow. On the 4-hour time frame also, we will see that we also have rejection candle there. Okay, we have rejection candle this place here. So, and price is also inside this zone here. Okay, so but if we go to the 30-minute time frame or 1 hour, you see that we've already created a shifter structure, and we've already created a shifter structure. You see, this is the lower low, so immediately this candle body close above, so this one now became the higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. You get, this is higher high, so this one now came down to broke this one. This bearish candle broke below this higher low, so this one now became bearish. So immediately we body close above, so this one now became what? Bullish. So what I'm waiting for any pullback engulfing candle to just take the trade to the upside. Okay, or if we should have a push like this, then the pullback will be here, engulfing candle, then I'll take the trade to the upside. So that is why I wrote on this place, so waiting for any higher low and engulfing candle to take the trade to the upside. Okay, it's written here. So waiting for any higher low and engulfing to take the trade to the upside, because all time frame are heading to the upside. Okay, but I have one turn off on this pair. If you move to the monthly time frame, I don't normally check the monthly time frame. I just check it once in a month. You get, check it once in a month. So this is August. This is August. You just enter August. So right now you see that the monthly time frame, we are bearish on the monthly time frame. This is the lower low and this is the lower high. You get, so price have the pullback to this zone. And if you check, this zone is a very strong zone. You can still push the price to the downside. Let me show you what I mean. Get, this is a very strong resistance zone. So whenever we approach, we push down, very strong resistance zone. Okay, so price have already stopped, so it's unlikely to continue creating the lower low leg on the weekly time frame. You understand what I'm saying now? Get, that's my thought process, what I think. And but if this place cannot hold, can still push up and continue the buy. So the only thing that will make me know if that zone will hold or not is if you have a clean rejection. Get, if you have a clean rejection on the lower time frame, I'll just take a very short buy to the upside. You understand? Okay, so that is my bias on Euro AUD. So the third pair, Forex pair on the list is CAD JPY. So CAD JPY is a very interesting and very simple trade. Support, break below. You get, then waiting for the pullback here to have the push to the downside. It happened here, but during the pullback, no slowdown. It happened here during the pullback, no slowdown. So hopefully, it already happened here. So waiting for the pullback, more like the slowdown to have the push to the downside. Okay, so very simple trade. So if you also go to the daily time frame, this is a very strong area of interest. See, we serve our support here, resistance. We move to the left side hand side. You get, also serve as support here. So it's a very strong zone. So waiting for push, reject, you get, then take the trade to the downside. So very simple analysis. So the next one is NZD-JPY. So NZD-JPY, the weekly time frame is also the same thing, same as CAD JPY because of the JPY. You get, so on the weekly time frame we are bearish and we are below this zone. You see, resistance. So now we are below this zone, waiting for a weak pullback to have the push to the downside. So on the daily time frame also is bearish. Also bearish below that zone, below this zone here. So waiting for pullback to have the to push the trade to the downside. All the time frame are heading down, which is a good thing. So the next pair is EUR-JPY. So EUR-JPY on the weekly time frame, we are also bearish on the weekly time frame because of the JPY. Okay, so waiting for pullback here to have the push to the downside. But if you check on the weekly time frame here, this area of interest is not that visible, it's not that clear. Also this one too is not that clear. So but if we go down to the daily time frame, you see that it's very, very clear. Okay, so what do I mean? So this one serves as resistance. You get, resistance. This one serves as resistance, support, resistance, support. Okay, so waiting for the push here to give us rejection to have the sell to the downside. If this place cannot hold it, this is another zone that we're able to hold the price, so we'll continue the sell. All the time frame are heading down. Okay, we check the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is also bearish, so we'll have the push to this zone here, reject, then we'll sell. Okay, so the next one is AUD-JPY. So AUD-JPY on the weekly time frame, we are also bearish on the weekly time frame. You see, we're also bearish on the weekly time frame, but the weekly time frame only have a pattern which is double top. You get double top. So now we've broken the neckline of the double top, more like retest of this one. But you notice that all my area of interest have the minimum of 3, but this one, if you look left, there is no, this is the highest point this pair have reached. 15. You get, this is the highest point this pair have reached. So we'll have the break, more like consolidate around here, give us a clean bearish engulfing candle. So if we have the push to this upside, then we'll now have the sell on the weekly time frame. That's what I'm waiting for. So on the daily time frame is also the same thing. We are also bearish on the weekly time frame, and this zone now became very clear. On the weekly time frame is actually just 2 rejection, but if you check the daily time frame is 3, which is very valid. You get 1, 2, 3, very valid. So we have the retest here, more like the EMA will come down here. The EMA will come down like this. You get to retest here, they will now have the sell to the downside. Okay, so GBP-JPY. So GBP-JPY, I have not traded this trade. I've not traded this pair. Sorry, I've not traded this pair since I started learning this my break and retests, because the structure has not been giving me what I really want. But this week is different. Okay, so you see the weekly time frame, we are bearish on the weekly time frame. See, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. So no clean area of interest there. But if we go down to the daily time frame, this is the lower low, this is the lower high. So waiting for pullback to this zone to have the sell. You get, sorry about that, to have the sell. Okay, so this is the very strong area of interest. You see rejection 1, rejection 2, rejection 3, rejection 4. So we have, it's more likely to happen again. So if we push, give us rejection, we sell. This place cannot hold it. This is another zone, rejection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one have more rejection than this one. So nevertheless, anyone that give us clean rejection and entry signal on the lower time frame will take it and continue the trend. Okay, so that is that. And I want to be very clear on something. I want to be very clear on something. You see that we have 5 JPY pair. Okay, so and we have 2 AUD pair. You get, so if you check this AUD now, what am I anticipating for? I'm testing for a stronger what? A stronger NZD and a weak AUD, waiting for sell. So here we also have AUD. So I'm waiting for a stronger euro and weaker AUD. You get, so these pairs now that are here, how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not looking to take all the whole trade. You get, I'm not looking to take all the whole trade. So I'm just looking to take anyone that give me the best, that presents the best high probability for me to take it. Okay, and the truth is that I don't see all these JPY pairs having the retest and having the push this week, but they are just on my list. Get, anything can happen in the market. So all these JPY pairs, I don't expect them to have the push this week, so to now have the retest this week, to now have the to have the push this week and to have the to have the push this week and to have the push to the downside. Okay, if you see also this one can still have the retest this week and the push to the downside. This one can also, this one I don't see it, but it can still happen. You can still have the retest this week and the push to the downside. Okay, but if any of the JPY pair want to have the push and retest, the push and retest, then it will be something like this. Get it will open like this, go to this place, you get, then at that place now it will now create a wick, you get, to create a wick. So, and this push now will now be the structure on the lower time frame, which is the daily time frame. Then if it's coming down, it will now come down like this, and on it coming down, it will now create a wick above like this. So if any of them want to have a push to the upside to retest, then we sell. You get, that is what is more likely to happen if any of them want to have it. But fingers crossed. So they are just on my watch list because those are the only pairs that look so good and perfect, that follow, that meet or any of my model, because I have 4 different entry model. Okay, so and that is that, and thank you very much for watching. Like, share and comment, and see you guys on the next video. Okay.